Hey guys, my name is Rob Noire. Today I'm joined by
Phil the Dreamer.
And today we have a very special video for you all about hidden gems on the PlayStation 2. Now the PlayStation 2 is probably my favorite console of all time. Like, I absolutely love this thing. I know you like it a lot too, right?
It is pretty epic, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Lots of good games, lots of greatest hits. For sure.
Lots of just good stuff to play. And so whenever I play games on the channel, tons of you guys comment asking me for game recommendations. And now everybody knows like the standard games, you know, like the Jak and Daxter, you know, the Final Fantasy, the Shadow of the Colossus, like the very popular ones. But there's a lot of good titles that aren't quite as well known.
That's right.
So this video here is going to be us diving a little bit deeper into the PlayStation 2 library to give you some of our picks, some of our recommendations. And now this is the first Hidden Gems video we're doing on the PlayStation 2, so we're not going crazy obscure. We're not like diving to the very, very bottom of the Walmart bin, you know what I mean? But we are picking out some games that, you know, you probably haven't heard of before and that you might enjoy playing.
You will enjoy it. I mean,
don't speak for them. Don't speak for them.
we're totally unbiased on that, and we're gonna go right down the middle, gameplay-wise, graphic-wise, and of course, like replay value.
Yeah, and there's a lot of variety here. It's not just RPGs. It's not just racing games. Like, there's a wide spread here. Alright guys, so I'm going to kick it off here, and what do I want to start with? Well, what I'll start with actually is We Love Katamari. Now, have you ever heard of this game?
By name, but never played it, never even seen the cover.
You've probably heard of the original, actually, which is Katamari Damacy.
Yeah, that I've heard of it.
So, Katamari Damacy is a huge game. It's a huge hit. Everybody loves it. It recently got an HD remaster on the Switch. But what a lot of people haven't tried is actually the sequel on the PlayStation 2. And this was the last game where the original creator was involved. And I feel like this was the last time the Katamari series was really inventive and really pushed the envelope. Like, first one, super like inventive, super nothing like it before. This one really pushed it, and then every Katamari game since has been kind of just the same thing over and over. So if you love the first one, you're gonna want to try this. And if you don't know what the game is, it's super Japanese. Like, I'll show the intro here. It's the most Japanese thing you'll ever see or play in your life. You play this tiny little character called the Prince, and you're pushing like this giant sticky ball. And whenever you touch something smaller than the ball, it gets absorbed onto the ball, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So you're trying to make the biggest ball you possibly can, and at the end, your dad, who is the king of the universe, throws it up into the sky and turns it into a star. Or that's the basic premise of most of the Katamari games. This one involves like the elements. There's like fire levels, light levels, a bunch of really cool stuff that hadn't really been done before. Well, if you haven't played the first one, start there. And then go right on to the sequel. Super fun. So what do you got for me, Phil?
Well, I'm gonna start with one of my favorite PS2 games. Look, Dragon Ball Z. I mean, as you can see, I am a fan. And I mean, Dragon Ball Z has been done since like Super Nintendo. I think even before that. There's been a ton of games. There's been a bundle. But the best games are the fighting games, which is pretty much what Dragon Ball Z is all about, right?
It is very, very heavy on the fighting.
I mean, you want to get, Goku wants to be...
Enemy alliance.
Goku wants to be the best fighter in the universe, and even in the universes now. So, I'm going to talk about Dragon Ball Z, Budokai Tenkaichi 3. This is a sequel of the second one, which is also awesome. So it's got like almost every character from Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT even. Okay,
it's like a greatest hits here.
It's like about 125 plus characters with all different moves.
Okay.
Really cool. And you can play 2 players, you can do story mode. There's all the stories from the 3 series, plus all the movies, like 13 movies, and a couple of what-if scenarios.
Oh, that's cool. I actually remember playing this at your place way back in the day, several years ago, and I'm not a Dragon Ball Z fan. It just doesn't really appeal to me, but the game was fun. Like, no denying it, you know? Like,
and I mean, even for PS2, the graphics are very like faithful to the actual manga and the series. Overall, amazing game, fighting game. If you want to try that, even the latest one, I don't find them as good as this one.
Well, Solid recommendation there. This is from the Tales series. This is Taes of the Abyss. It's the first Tales game I ever played, and I really, really liked it, and like I haven't played much of the series since, and the series is kind of, sometimes it's popular, sometimes it's not, but this one, I feel like it's been very overlooked. I don't know why. The thing that I thought was so revolutionary about this, and other games have tried it, but this was the first game that I ever played that actually managed to capture the anime look. Like some games have tried it, and you know how it's kind of 3D and it doesn't really look like an anime?
Yeah.
Like this was the first time I ever saw it in practice where it's like, oh my god, this is like watching an anime. Mm-hmm. And the story is really cool. The main character, he's kind of an asshole, so he has like this character arc where he becomes like a better person, and there's kind of like a plot twist where is he actually this person he says he is. It's kind of almost like a Final Fantasy VII kind of plot twist, and it's just like super interesting, graphically amazing, and I remember it being really fun to play. So
is it the classic one guy, all the girls want him?
No, not even. Like, this is one guy who's like, he's royalty and he's kind of a dick. And he gets this friend who is a girl who's like leading him around or something, but she's like, you're like an asshole. Like, you should be better. And he's like, should I be better? Like, there's a scene at the beginning where like, he goes to a marketplace and he's never been to a marketplace, so he just starts taking the people's stuff. And the guy's like, are you gonna pay for that apple? He's like, pay. And he just like walks off. So I highly recommend it. There's a lot of personality, and if you like the Tales games and you haven't tried this one, it would be my recommendation. So what do you got for us next, Phil?
Well, keep it on with the anime RPG. Atlus in the late 90s started a RPG with grid, pretty much. And the first was La Pucelle Tactics, which I'm not going to talk about it today, but the first version of the Disgaea, I'm sorry. Disgaea series. The first one.
Actually, it might be Disgaea. I can't say for sure. I've just heard it called Disgaea.
One or two. But the first one was on PS2, also was ported not too long ago on Steam and PC. Mm-hmm. And it's basically, an anime RPG. Voiceovers, you got the plot, it's just very great. So basically, the idea with this one is that the main character, Laharl, is the son of Demon Overlord. Okay. He basically, when you start the game, his friend Etna wakes him up by like trying a bunch of different weapons on him for like about 2 weeks, and he just can't wake up. And when he finally wakes up, she told him that his father is dead and has been dead for 2 years while he was asleep. Okay. So it starts like that, kind of out of nowhere, and I mean, you build up your team. There's like about 150 classes. There's magics, there's abilities. You can do you can do combo moves. I mean, you can. There's a bunch of different moves to unlock as well. It's a really nice game to play. There's a little plot line. There's side quests as well. There's challenges, and the last one that actually came out was on PS4, Disgaea 5, which I also recommend. But
yeah, maybe someday we'll do a PS4 hidden gems.
Yeah, why not?
Maybe.
But this one is a definite hidden gem on PS2 if you like Japanese RPG, grid style.
All right, guys, so my next pick is another one that's a little bit more well-known, but it often gets overshadowed by the first game in the series.
Yes.
So I'm talking about Valkyrie Profile 2. Now, this is a series that, as far as I'm aware, only has 2 games.
It does.
And that's such a shame. The first game came out on the PlayStation 1, and it's very different, but this sequel is actually the first one that I played, and gameplay-wise, it's strange. Like, you kind of have to get used to it, but the story in this one is so good.
Yeah.
Like, you're a Valkyrie who I think is banished from Asgard. Is that it? I remember you're on Earth.
Yes.
And then you meet up with like a bunch of other characters. You grow out your party, and like you meet other Valkyries. This game left such an impression on me. This was like one of my first buys when I first started collecting for the PS2. Like, graphically, looks amazing, and there's nothing else that I've ever played that quite plays like it. And also, you don't have to have played the first one to like understand it. You'll get a lot of the little references, like a lot of the characters kind of come back in different roles in that.
And also replayability for this one, of course.
Great game. So what do you have for me, Phil?
Well, this is one game, again from Atlus. It's Persona 3 FES. So the Persona series started, I think it was on PS1, I think.
I'm not even sure. I know it's gotten super popular recently with Persona 5 and Persona 4, but not a lot of people talk about Persona 3, so we want to highlight it here.
Yeah, so Personas, what can I say about it? I mean, you start with a main character, you can choose male or female, basically, and you're in high school. Okay, sounds a bit like, okay, high school game for kids.
And you do have to kind of get over that, the fact that there is some like high school drama stuff to it, but it's a minor part of the whole experience.
Yeah, exactly. It's a full-on RPG, like 70 hours of gameplay, the original story. And I mean, in this one, there's extra stuff that you can go for, even like about maybe 30-40 hours extra gameplay wise. And there's a lot of customization you can do, a lot of personas, which is pretty much like psychic magic, kind of. It's more like personality wise.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. You kind of have to have played it, but
yeah. And I mean, like Rob said, if you get past the fact that it's like, yeah, you're in high school, blah blah blah, hang on there. It's really good. It's worth the wait, and there's so much you can do in that game. It's really fun. Also replayability, of course.
Oh, 100%. And like I said, like Persona is a well-known series because of Persona 5, but this is a game that doesn't really get a lot of shout-outs, unlike Persona 5 and Persona 4. Yeah. So we kind of wanted to highlight it here because it's definitely worth playing if you haven't. And I feel like a lot of people actually haven't because so many people came into the series at the tail end. So it's worth going back and trying some of these earlier ones like this.
And this is the Definitive Edition FES. If you have Persona 3, the original one, and you actually played it and you got save file, it unlocks other stuff.
Ooh, cool.
So extra bonus features. So yeah, another great Japanese RPG.
All right, so my next pick here is along the same vein where it's from a popular series, but it's a game that totally gets overshadowed by everything else, and that's a real shame. It is Jak X Combat Racing. Now, this is in the Jak and Daxter series, and it's worth noting, back in the day when I was a kid, like PS2 and 64 era, I was massively into racing games. Like, I played every racing game I could get my hands on. That's why I'm pretty good at racers from this era, and literally, this is probably the most fun like combat versus racing game I had ever played. Like beats Mario Kart, beats all the other ones I had played. So the cool thing about Jak X is it has a story mode, and it does have some characters from the earlier Jak and Daxter games, like you're gonna see Jak, Daxter, and some callbacks. But the cool thing about this story mode is it's literally just to kind of get you to these different races. Now there's regular races, 3 laps. There's long races where it's one long course and you gotta get to the end first. And the entire time you're doing this, by the way, you have missiles, you have mines, you have different things you can attack the other players with. But then it also has like different game modes. Like there's an arena mode where it's everybody against everybody, last one standing wins. There's capture the flag. There's something called the power cell run. There's also one where it's the arena again, but there's like robots that drop in and you have to take out as many as possible. There's like a million different game modes, and it's just as fun to play the story as it is to play with friends. And it's good one player, it's good multiplayer, and it gets overshadowed by how great Jak and Daxter, Jak 2 and Jak 3 are. But this game really deserves some credit, and it really deserves like you giving it a chance if you like the Jak and Daxter games and you like racers, because it is so much fun, this game. I played a ton of it back in the day. The only thing I will say is there is a glitch in it where the autosave feature can corrupt your save file. So turn that off whenever you boot it up. So other than that.
So it looks like a big torqued up version, Jak X, Jak did Daxter version of like Twisted Metal, kind of, right?
I would say it's kind of like Jak and Daxter, Mario Kart 64, and Twisted Metal had a baby, and that's this game.
Wow, okay.
Super fun. Like, even if you don't know the Jak and Daxter series, I would still recommend it.
Sounds pretty good, right?
So what do you got for me, Phil?
Well, as my last one, I chose one game that's really dear to my heart, and the entire series has been kind of a hidden gems throughout the years. It started on the NES, the original Nintendo, as Romance of Three Kingdom 1. So Romance of Three Kingdom series, what can I say? This game, all the game are based on Chinese history. The goal here is basically to take the entire, conquer in the entire China with one ruler. So basically,
Attila the Hun.
Yeah, exactly. Basically unifying China. So I've been playing that since a long time, but this one is one of my particular favorite. And it's one of the rare one that's actually one player. And first you make your character. You can either just make one character and just choose a ruler, do tasks, domestics or warlike, all depending. But you can also make your own ruler and your own generals and your own kingdom.
Okay.
So you start in one end of the map or one of the provinces. So it's basically all provinces in the ancient China, and basically, you know, you build your troops, etc. You build stuff, you build technology. There's weapons, there's ballistas, there's catapults, there's boats, there's everything. It would take too much time to go really deep into it and explain everything, but if you like world domination games and to have an actual domestic side to it too, very detailed, it's a great game for that. And I mean, the music also is amazing.
Cool.
If you like Oriental music, very nice.
Awesome. Sounds like a good pick.
Yeah.
All right, so my next pick is LA Rush, which is another racing game on the PS2. Now this came at a weird time in my life where I kind of didn't have a lot of racing games I liked, and I was looking for games. And one of my friends loved this game because of the soundtrack. It's very heavy on like the hip hop and rap, but there's some pop, some rock, some other stuff in there. And so he turned me onto it, and it's actually like one of the best racers on the PS2 I can remember playing.
Really?
Now I think it does have a multiplayer mode, but this is for the story mode. And the main story is that like basically you piss off the best racer in your town, and you're like an underground racer, so he steals all your cars. So you have to work your way up through like these crappy like low level street races to kind of get better cars, get money to buy better cars. But the AI in this is really smart, and they drive really well. The courses, they're all going through a city, but the city has such variety. It has like, you know, kind of like almost like a desert area. It has like the size skyscrapers. We got to avoid traffic, and like there's a lot of really cool stuff. The story is kind of like the weakest part of it, but it's actually still decent. And you can also free roam, like you go between missions, so you can explore. I think there might even be like stunts and collectibles, and I think you buy different houses and stuff. I just remember like not being super into racing games. Like I'd kind of hit a lull, and this just dragged me back in. Super fun game, LA Rush, not expensive, and I would highly recommend it.
Okay, sounds pretty good to me.
Our final pick, and this is like both of us picked this hidden gem because this is such a good game, and you would never expect it because usually licensed games like based on movie properties suck. They're usually terrible.
The Harry Potters come to mind.
Most
PS1, PS2 were horrible.
I mean, there might be a hidden gem here and there that we can highlight, but typically licensed games suck. But here's one that does not suck. The Lord of the Rings Return of the King.
That's right.
This game, along with Kingdom Hearts, are the two games that actually made me decide I wanted a PS2 over a GameCube. This is the game that swayed me. And so this is based on the third movie in the Lord of the Rings series, which I'm sure everybody knows.
By Peter Jackson, of course.
Exactly, the same guy who did The Hobbit, the lesser, like in all regards, film series.
That's right.
I was gonna say the lesser known, but they're well known. They're just not as good. And you actually start off in this at the Battle of Helm's Deep. So you even start off a little bit in the second movie to kind of like let you get used to it. It's kind of like the tutorial. And then as soon as that's done, you jump right into the main story. And you play through the entire story of the movie from like the start to like the battle for Gondor to the battle in, what do you call it? Mordor, the Battle of Mordor to the very end. And you get to play all the different characters. Like you party up where it's like Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, maybe sometimes Gandalf, but then you also have Sam and Frodo on their own separate side missions.
It's almost like a rail shooter some parts, right?
Yeah, it varies up the gameplay. Like sometimes, yeah, you're kind of shooting, but you also get to run around. It's fixed camera angles, but they move.
It's
and
well done.
Your characters level up and get different abilities and stuff. But the thing that really set this one apart is you can also play it local co-op.
Oh. You know, that's one of the things that I don't like these days. There's not enough local co-op games.
I agree. They mainly focus on online, but this one was like full local, and it's so much more fun to play this game with a friend. Like so much more fun.
It's like being part of the movie with a friend. It's awesome for that.
And they do have cutscenes from the movie in this. They're super compressed, and they also will like gradient transition into a CGI version of the same cutscene. It looks bad. Like there's no escaping that.
Yeah.
But I've only actually beaten this game like maybe 3 or 4 times, but I've played the campaign probably 15 times. Like I used to play this all the time with friends growing up. It's such a good game, and I know you love it as well.
Hey, it's amazing. I mean, it's a lot of fun. Like you said, multiplayer co-op couch, great. And by the way, if you haven't seen the movies, go see the movies.
I think they've seen the movie. If they're watching this, they've seen the movies.
Oh, just in case. And if you have, go play the game. There's actually I think there's actually the trilogy on PS2, right?
I've never seen the first one. I've seen the Two Towers. The Two Towers is like turn-based though, from what I remember.
It's true.
This is action RPG. Like this is all live combat. So.
Yeah. It's true.
So yeah, guys, that pretty much wraps up this video. That's 10 games on the PS2 that are lesser known. I would call them hidden gems that we both highly recommend. If you can find them, you go pick them up and try them out.
And also, as you can see, we both have different tastes in games, which give you a nice coverage, pretty much. I mean, you got action RPG, you got racing games, you got JRPGs, you got Katamari, Japanese something, I guess, and you got turn-based domination of the world by, I guess, China in this case.
And if you guys like this video, we'll probably do some more on the PS2 and maybe other systems where there's hidden gems.
Of course.
If you guys have played any of the games we're talking about, definitely let us know about it down in the comments below. Or if you have suggestions for games that, you know, we should feature on one of these hidden gems videos. And it doesn't have to specifically be PS2, but if you have any suggestions for games that you really think should be better known, let us know down in the comments below and maybe we'll include it in a future video.
And if you actually play those games after you watch this video, let us know your
So we're just really pushing comment.
Play.
But yeah, guys, so that pretty much wraps it up. We hope you enjoyed. We hope you learned something. We hope maybe now you have some new game pickups to go and get. And as always, guys, I will see you in the next video.
See you guys.